or in India,
Yeah.
where they follow
They follow you. Yeah.
I was in India and there was a girl like 4 or 5 years old. She was really tiny and she kept
Yeah.
following me at night. It was 10 or 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And at one point, like after 15 minutes, I was like, can you stop following me? Because they tell you ignore the children, otherwise you support the whole labor, right?
Yeah.
But at one point, I was like, oh my god, she needs to go back to the place where she started and say, go back to your people. And she's like, but I'm alone. She literally was alone, 4 or 5 years old. And that was like the first time I saw that, like that extreme. She had no shoes on. She was standing there like, give me something. And I was like, oh my god. So I bought her some food.
Mm.
She was like eating it like really fast. So that's the first time I've seen it that close, that extreme case.
Yeah.
Because in Belgium they pick up the children from the street and they put them in the homes.
Yeah.
Because it's not normal there. Here it's really normal. People didn't even pay attention to her. So, yeah, you do that really. You see, I've seen it on videos, but to see it in real life is very different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Even me, like I went to India this 1 week before. I went to Surat and I went to Ahmedabad, part of Gujarat, really near Mumbai, and that's a different side, but it kind of close to Nepal. So for me, it was not a surprise, but I was still surprised with. I always thought India is a big country and it's much richer than us, right? So I always thought probably it's much better. It's better in a lot of ways where the infrastructures are pretty better than Nepal, and then there's a lot of facilities and opportunities in India. But then I think this situation where that people are literally sleeping on the road is quite less in Nepal as compared to India, because they literally have a literally just a hut. They built a hut near the road and they're just sleeping, the whole family.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh wow, surprising, right? It's so surprising. And the slums in India is very, very common. And people who are rich are super rich, and people who are poor are super, super poor. The disparity between the rich and poor is so big that the whole country doesn't really care about the poor people anymore. Because it's like, for them, even the richer people in India, they tend to ignore, because they're like, the government is not doing anything, how much could I do? So for example, the big companies, they do have corporate social responsibility, right? And they do things for example, let's say there's this big company and they're doing a thing they're donating for this community, but then there are thousands of that community, and how much they can do if the government is not organizing. For example, if you donate one time, they eat, they finish, right? But then for them to get out of that street and out of that position, the government should be looking after them, organizing things for them, and doing things for them, and providing opportunities and work and like anything to support them, so that the other people can help them as well. But the government is completely turning a blind eye. So how much can I do as a person?
Exactly.
So that's the same with Nepal and same with in India. Here as well, like if you look very closely, there's no aged care homes because of the culture, because it's always believed that, like, it's always like expected your children to look after the parents. But then there are exception cases as well where there is no children, or children's dead, or children are not looking after the parents. But then who's gonna look after them if the children are not looking after them? You should always think about the obviously everyone's gonna look after their parents, but just in case if not, where is the responsibility as a government, or even if it's not as a government, as a society? How do we treat these people, or how do we help support these people to rehabilitate them?
You know, it's almost like, so I was in Jordan, and there's a lot of child labor in the, you know, Petra. It's one of the seven.
Petra, yeah.
So my guide told me, do not give your children money because you will support the child labor. So in that way, even because there is no governmental support to get these children back into school. There's no structural change going on. Me donating even a meal would actually support the child baby.
Yes.
Because that's crazy, right? So you think you would help them, like the girl I saw in the Indian streets. Me giving her money would actually support her situation long term because she would stay in the street. That's how she survives because the government doesn't help. So that puts you in a very tough position. Like it's as if you have the responsibility of that child, but it will not do any good whatever you choose. It's really the government that needs like structural changes because I mean it's terrible. They don't care. In Belgium, we do. I feel like Europe does a good job at this. If they see a child on the street, immediately will be removed from the street, taken care of, put in an orphanage. But here, it's too many. I think also like so many